Well, hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk a little bit about where you get your advice from. So, a funny story demonstrates this very well. A native Alaskan lives way out in the forest. His closest neighbor's about a half mile away, but even farther up the road, he's got a new neighbor. And the rumor from the other neighbors is that the guy works for the U.S. Weather Service. So our native decides to give him a call and say, "Hey, what kind of winter are we going to have this year?" And the neighbor says, "Well," and he hesitates. Says, "Let me do some research, and why don't you give me a call back in about a week?" So this makes our native a little nervous. So he goes out for a week and busts his butt, cutting, splitting, stacking firewood, and he fills his woodshed. And he gives the guy a call back about a week and he says, "So, how is our winter looking?" And the neighbor says, "Well, I think we might be in for a bad winter." Great. So, our native goes out for another week, cutting, splitting, stacking up firewood. He backs his pickup a little bit out of the carport so he's got room under roof to put some firewood. He's got half of the truck bed sticking out. And at the end of that week, he calls the neighbor again and says, "So, how's our winter looking now?" And the neighbor says, "Well, I think we're in for a really bad winter." Good grief. So, our native goes out for a third week, busts his butt again, cutting, splitting, stacking up firewood. He backs his pickup farther out of the carport to where just the windshield and the hood are under now, hoping that the windshield will at least stay clear when it snows. At the end of that week, he calls up the neighbor and says, "So, how's winter looking now?" And the neighbor says, "Oh, I think we're in for a really, really bad winter." Oh, good grief. He goes out for a fourth week, busting his butt, cutting, splitting, stacking firewood up. His pickup's completely outside. He's got no more room under roof for any more firewood. He's got 16 cords of firewood put up. He's looking down at his cut, blistered, calloused hands, and he gives the neighbor a call back and says, "How's winter looking now?" The neighbor says, "Well, I think we're in for a really, really, really bad winter." And he says, "Now, hold on a second. Where are you getting your information from?" And the neighbor says, "Well, I got an Indian neighbor up the road who's been putting up firewood like you can't believe."